We have a yay! There we go. So welcome. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Catherine Wygant Fawcett, the Executive Director of the Institute of Family Owned Business. Welcome to all of you in person. And they tell me there are people here on Zoom, so I'll say hi to you too. Brooke Stewart, our Director of Communications, will be our tech expert and our online chat moderator. So if you have any questions, just go through Brooke on that. If you're in the room, just raise your hands, please. We'll be recording this program for later viewing, and then we'll be sending the recording and the slides and the information, the contact information to you probably next week. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the Breakwater Group at Morgan Stanley, and Biz, and our host, Barry Dunn, for this lovely facility. In a few minutes, I'll ask Cam Shorey over here to come up from the Breakwater Group and say a few words. As many of you know, the IFOB is a nonprofit that helps family businesses succeed. We're offering over 50 programs this year, both online, in person, and hybrid. Many of our educational programs will be right here. And you all know my favorite little hierarchy. Okay, I was at this. And then I talked to my little pal, Ethan, who's my AI. I didn't know could make charts. And he's put all of our research and information that we did 3 years ago when we had digital research into finding out what people want, what they need. And so this one is kind of a concept of what we do. And then this is kind of a schematic. And we have over here, we're kicking off our how-tos. And we have 11 how-to programs. And then we have a couple that we're going to continue the conversation. And so that is all out front there and also on the website. The green programs for all your employees, for everyone, we're very welcoming. So if you're a family business, another family business, an associate partner, anyone, please come to our events. Today, we're kicking off the How To Educational Series. This is a series of practical conversations about the real work of running a family business. Let's raise hands who's in the family business. It's fun, right? Easy. Yeah, here we go. Of how you lead, communicate, and make decisions along the way. Each conversation focuses on a different part of the work, how your business grows, how your people experience it, how decisions get made, and how things actually run day to day. Our topic today is on our how-to is culture and leadership, leading a way that people want to be a part of. Our speakers are Leah Chamberlin here, the Chief People Officer at Horch Roofing, and Tisha Bremner, founder of Insightful Workplace Solutions. New for this year, we're going to continue the conversations on live. Everything's going to be live in Zoom and recorded. And it's called Midday Conversations. So you can grab your lunch and look online. These are short online conversations that continue the how-tos, offering practical ways to dig a bit deeper into specific topics. So we're going to have one with helping employees understand and value their benefits. And that's on Wednesday, July 29th, and self-care and time management as a leader. Anybody in some management? Self-care? Yeah, I can hear my 90-year-old parents. I understand that. So we'll then take a bit of a break and come to our social activities for the summer. We'll pick up our how-to September 30th with a panel on communication and conflict. Nobody has any of that, right? Yeah. Okay. So next Tuesday, June 23rd, we're going to celebrate National Family Owned Business Day from 5 to 7 at Estabrook's Production Greenhouse. They won last year for an Environmental Leadership Award. And Tom told me if he hadn't sold all his flowers, you will see them all circulating all around the greenhouse. It's a beautiful facility. So everyone's welcome, all of your colleagues, family, including the kids, and it can be indoor, outdoor. We'll have hors d'oeuvres, beverages, kids, and games. So please come to that. And on July 14th, we'll have our ninth annual 18 and 9 hole golf scramble at Nonsuch. We'll have lots of prizes. I talked to Lindsay from Gifford's Ice Cream, and she's still going to give us our Patriots tickets. So the best team gets those. So we still have a few whole sponsorships, maybe 2, available for a team of 4 signage and a barbecue lunch. We also have our peer groups with our Next Gens, the Women's Leadership Forum, Working Parents, and our EOS Think Tank. Mark your calendars for our 26th Annual Maine Family Business Awards. There's a flyer out here. The nominations are open. We're going to celebrate everything for the 250th. Jess Meffler went to the Louisville Slugger Museum. And he said, why don't we get them to come? And so they're all coming and they're going to stay at the Canopy Hotel, some of them. So it's going to be a fun night. We'll celebrate everything American and how the families have built our country. And we'll have bourbon because we'll also have the Louisville Sluggers Board of Director, who is a chief operating officer for Van Winkle Enterprises. So that'll be a good conversation and a fun night. If you nominate someone, they don't need to be members of the Institute. They'll get 2 free tickets to the awards night if they complete the application, and they'll learn about their business. And they also get a free membership for the rest of the year. And you can self-nominate. So at the end of the program, we'll hand out a survey. We'll put it in the chat. And for those of you in person, we have door prizes. So we appreciate your input because it helps us put our programs together. And I will invite Kim up to say a few words. Thank you.
Real brief, appreciate the IFOB, the opportunity. This is a topic real meaningful to us. We're a wealth management firm here in Portland, global firm, Morgan Stanley, but local team here in Portland. We're mostly a team of former athletes. So when we think about leadership and the role that's played in our lives, it's been really meaningful. We attribute a lot of success to that, and we try to instill a lot of those values within our practice. So we're hopeful today. Everybody gets some tidbits that are actionable, some knowledge to take back, and hopefully some meaningful results. So hope you enjoy the programming.
Okay, ladies.
Here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm Leah Chamberlin. I'm the Chief People Officer for Horch Roofing. I come with you from 20 years of corporate banking experience to the trades. A lot of things I've learned along the way, and I'm just really excited to share some geeky stuff with you. And as some of my teammates who are here today, they hear me say a lot, cool cat, but a geek on the street. So thank you, first of all, for just giving me your time and just letting me share some cool things I've learned along the way.
Fantastic. I love it. So I'm Tisha Bremner. I'm the founder and CEO of Insightful Workplace Solutions. It is a professional and leadership development company. I work with CEOs and leaders at all levels of organizations to help build transformational human-centered cultures. And I started my career in this building as an underwriter for Unum. So I always love coming back here. It's incredibly nostalgic. I appreciate this opportunity to just speak with you today. And I want to encourage us to have a conversation.
Yes.
So that we can get a pulse in terms of where we're at around culture and people and the organizations that we'd love to be a part of, and maybe even perhaps some of the lessons we've learned along the way as it relates to people, culture, and organizations. So with that said, let's kick it off. I want to invite you to also raise your hand, ask questions, maybe offer some challenges to any of the concepts that we might bring your way. This is the first time Leah and I have worked together in doing this, and we have also been leaders with the Maine Women's Network. So it's cool to kind of like come back together.
Yes. Yeah.
After that,
2020.
yes.
Via crisis of COVID. We met via Zoom and we were like, okay, how do we continue networking as women? Like, how do we lift people up? Like, let's get creative. And we were bringing all of our different chapters throughout the state together. And it's just really wholesome to be up here with you now, 6 years later.
I know,
It's
exactly.
so cool. Yeah.
Exactly.
And, really like with family-owned businesses, it's complex. You have emotions, you have loyalty, leadership. People want to stay because of you. They want to stay because they believe in you. They believe in the purpose. And so that's sometimes where you see a lot of things differ from corporate to family owned. And that's something I've really learned in the last year and a half, which is pretty cool. So Tisha's going to kick us off on this slide, but I did want to just start by saying how excited we are to share about like that loyalty piece and the behavioral science.
So I'm super curious. I want to start with a question because I'd like to have some level of engagement. What is your experience of culture? What does company or corporate culture mean to you?
No answer is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Buy-in.
Buy-in. Buy-in to what?
The culture.
Buy-in to the way things are done. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
What else?
Yes.
Kind of view it as an instinctual understanding of how things should be done.
Yeah, so it's a way, it's an instinctual way of how things are done. That, I might add to that, that is learned. Who are our teachers of culture in organizations? I'm going to ask a better question. Who's the primary teacher of organizations in our culture? Or of culture in organizations?
The organization leader.
Yes, absolutely. So I left corporate America to start my own business. Oh my gosh, how long ago? 17 plus years ago. I left a beautiful 6-figure job and I launched into corporate health and wellness because I wanted to make a difference in organizations, in employee engagement, in employee performance, and employee well-being. And as I started working with employees, what I realized is their managers had a big influence. And then who influenced managers, leaders, and who influenced the leaders were the C-suite. So culture starts at the top, and employees live it, breathe it, they feel it in tangible and in intangible ways. And leaders are, in my opinion, responsible for setting expectations, what is acceptable, what is not, and what is valued. So what would you add to that?
Yeah, and like, so leadership tone, right? When you think about culture, your employees are watching everything you do, every reaction you have, to the good things and the bad. So when there is panic at the disco, they are watching you and they're watching how you react, and how your reactions are is what they deem okay. So when you talk about culture, culture is an everyday thing. Culture is a business strategy that is a non-negotiable if you want to run a high-performing team. So we're going to really dig into that piece, but we're going to talk a lot too about communication and assertive communication. And we'll talk about some cool stuff. Tisha's got some amazing tools she's going to share with you. I have a couple different ones as well, so you'll get a nice toolkit when you leave here of what that looks like. You know, and I think about too, even at Horch Roofing, and I look about the past year, and we have gone through incredible change. We've gone through digital transformation change. We've gone through leadership change. We've gone through change in just an organization with the employee workforce, right? You talk about, you throw ICE in the mix, right? You're in the trades, you're going to hear about ICE. So it's just really cool that when you have a team in place, whenever these crises come up, that you are responding and bringing your best self, even when it's really hard. So anyway, excited to talk about that in recognition. I have a few meatballs, I like to call them, that I work with. And one of them is Friday's Finest. So I have an amazing marketing director. Her name is Zani. And I will say she's here right now. And she keeps me in line every day. And we ran with this thing called Friday's Finest. And so recognition to that looks like every employee every Friday recognizes somebody. And they send it to Zani and they say, hey, these people are meeting our 4 core values. Have fun, get it done, be driven, do the right thing. In my HR strategy, our core values are incorporated through the entire organization, from the employee life cycle all the way through. So knowing that employees have input and they get to boost up their teammates and they're getting buy-in, like dynamite, you can't make that stuff up. It feels so good. We also do connection conversations, and I really task leaders to like not say, hey, how's your week? But like, hey, what makes you tick? What brings you joy? What do you want to elevate? What do you want to delegate? Right? So a lot of these cool conversations are happening, and it's just creating that culture of like people connecting. So yeah.
One last little tee up on that. Last year, I was working with an organization, and I was working with the top 2 leaders, and I asked the question, what were their leadership values? And they were not able to articulate it, other than do the right thing.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So they also started experiencing high turnover shortly after that conversation. And I would say the question that I have for you in your organization is, what are your people values? What are your leadership values? Are those clear to you and to everyone within your organization? one of the, I think, most tangible values that I really admire is organizations that hold people obviously to high integrity. One of the CEOs who I'm working with, it is a part of their corporate culture and their values, but they actually don't say it, they live it. It's not listed, but they look for that in all of their people, this quality of integrity. Anyway,
I love it.
so who would like to share one of your corporate values or your leadership, maybe personal individual leadership value?
Compassion. Right.
Why is that important today when we didn't hear it 20 years ago?
Because we need to bring humanity to our everyday moments.
Repeat that. We can hear it over here.
Yes, because we need to bring humanity to our everyday moments. And that, to me, culture and leadership is an act of becoming. So becoming more human, more humane. I actually did a talk for human resources about that exact concept and encouraged them to be a little bit more humane in terms of how they looked at people and culture.
Yeah.
All right, how about next slide?
Thanks, Sonia. Oh, this is so fun. Okay. I have a feeling I might see everyone's hands up high. But raise your hand if you've ever had a disagreement with a friend, a teammate, a family member. Bada bing, there it is. Yes. And so now imagine that same dynamic in your workplace. Let's talk about humans. Let's talk about complexity, right? They're bringing experiences, different perspectives. They have certain outcomes that they're looking for that they want you to almost read their mind, but you can't. So just imagine that complexity in your workforce. And how do we do that? How do we pivot? How do we open that form of communication where we're aligned? And as we continue to move forward in these slides, that's some of the toolkits we'll talk to you about to help make those experiences a little bit better for our workforce. So
now, when I think about this, we all have learned behavior from our families. Yeah. And I mean, did you learn all of the best behaviors from your family? In all honesty?
absolutely not.
Sometimes I talk about this with executives, right? Or leaders at a variety of levels in organizations. What are some of the things to be successful in business that you've had to unlearn that you learned from your family?
Listen,
So fun.
taking things personal.
Taking things personally. Yes.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Emotional response.
Ooh, yeah. How to be non-reactionary and perhaps even a little bit non-judgmental, self-regulation that we need to learn in the workplace. How about over here?
Stubbornness.
Ooh, yeah. Having to be right. Having to be the one making a decision, or the one making the decisions, and not being able to perhaps include other people. What does that cause in businesses today? And we're going to get into this a little bit, but what challenges happen?
Creates an environment of a lack of open-mindedness and creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. And do we need to be open and creative today in business? Why? We have AI. I mean, come on, we have AI.
I have them all. That's my area.
Why aren't we just going to sail through it with AI?
Because it's not human.
It's not human. I had a conversation yesterday with an executive in an architectural firm, and she's vying to hire a new HR person for people and culture, not just calling it the HR director, the position HR director, because she's really understanding that it's people who are the key differentiators in our organizations who will use tools and technology to help us to excel. So when we learn patterns that are maybe not optimal, I mean, families can be wonderful. They can also be the source of really some of our most challenging times. Think about the awkward Thanksgiving dinners that we perhaps have been involved in. I certainly have experienced those. If you're bringing that into the business, it adds to difficulty and complexity. And so learning tools around communication, effective and healthy boundaries, and some of the other aspects that we're going to talk about is critical.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And no, to piggyback on that too, like you think about the family-owned businesses aspect and they are emotionally tied. And so it's even harder for you because they look at you as not just a boss and a leader. They're looking at you because they believe in you. They believe in what you want to push. So that complexity of like your own family stuff, it will trickle in, and it will trickle in a little bit more than necessarily like a corporate setting. So, all right. This is my favorite one. Yay. Yes. No, you lead this one. You got this.
So employees learn culture. It's not necessarily something that an employee will bring in. So who's the best teachers of culture?
Direct reports.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Who sets the tone? Who should be setting the tone? The ownership. Yeah. Because they will acknowledge what is rewarded, what is expected, what is acceptable, what is ideal in terms of any of the behaviors. And managers will follow the lead. Sometimes managers will have a gut instinct about how to deal with people. And if they're not supported, they're not going to be able to implement and execute on those values. I'll let you take it.
Woo, here we go.
I know, I can say it more,
I'm
but-
leading. So for the love of middle managers is what I love to lead with. They're getting it from the top down, the bottom up. They're your culture translators. They're the ones that are saying, hey, I'm drinking your Kool-Aid. I'm in, let's go. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And we need to do everything that we can as business owners, as leaders, executive suites to ensure that we're supporting them to the utmost respect that we can, because they're the ones, again, every day, every response they have, your frontline workers, your ecosystem of employees, they are watching, and they're watching well. I have a teammate in here, his name is Taylor, and he hears me on this soapbox daily about our middle managers. And I'm like, let's go. Come on. We got to put them through leadership training. We have to do all this cool stuff. And when you mix in a family-owned business and multi-generations, who in here has at least 4 generations in their workforce? Yeah, proud. Yeah. What about 3? There we go. Okay, love that. So there are so many different generations. And right now in our workforce, we have more than we ever have. We have 5 currently. Of people that can be working. And that's a lot of different experiences, right? A lot of different expectations. And Tisha's got a wonderful slide in here that really breaks that down as we move forward. But there's a commonality between all these generations. They all want to feel seen. They want to feel heard. They want to feel that sense of belonging because you are a family-owned business and they are there because they choose to be. So that's my soapbox on that. I'll stop from there, but yeah, we really have to support our middle leaders. They are the translators.
So in your organization, who is a cheerleader for people that's a middle leader? Can you think of that person?
Yes.
Who? Do you have them? Yes. Okay, you're cheerleaders together in your organization. How do you work together to build culture and to maybe manage up and manage down and manage sideways? Or manage laterally, that's the word.
Everything we do is a team across the company. We try really hard to, there's no eyes and there's no employees. We're a team.
We're going to talk about that in the 5 behaviors in a little bit. So the idea of working toward outcomes and goals and objectives together as a team. Yeah. Fantastic.
So cool.
Yeah,
we'll move on. But this is again, just super important.
when we look at this slide, who feels amazing about about this? What comes to mind? What comes to mind? That I'm getting old. Coming out of me, I feel that too.
But feel free to take pictures of these slides, everyone too. Please take slides.
So especially here. Oh, I'm gonna call this. What comes to mind here in this ladder part? You're not gonna get it wrong.
Younger.
Younger.
Navigating their way.
Navigating their way. They're younger. Okay.
They don't have as much experience.
They don't have as much experience. What else is going on? What else is going on? Come on, I know it. And I'm gonna hold out for it. Entitled. Yeah, boy, okay, come on, a couple more.
They're our future,
Yeah,
and it's our job to train.
I was talking to a business owner, I think it was last month. I just got back from vacation, so I'm still orienting, forgive me. And he was talking about these generations not saying the nicest things. Do I buy into that as a leadership development trainer? No, because I'm also training people in these generations. And I see something different. And what I see is not only opportunity, but innovative ideas and a new way to look at things. And so he was complaining about employees in his family business, really. We had a transparent conversation. And then he said, my sons act differently in my business. Okay. Why? Why did his sons act differently in the business?
Because they grew up in a different culture.
They grew up in a different culture, but they're this age. What happened in the household and in the business?
Internet, COVID.
He taught them. He taught them what was expected, what the boundaries were. He taught them the skills. He taught them in terms of managing their behavior, in terms of what aligns with his values and culture. So if you have people coming in from different families to your organization, the opportunity is to teach them and to listen to them. So last month, I taught a regional leadership program, and the youngest person in the room was 24 years old. She was quiet because the oldest person in the room was in their 50s. And I encouraged her to share. And as she was sharing, she brought about so many current and appropriate principles of how to engage, motivate, teach, and develop people's performance in organizations. So there is an opportunity to learn from all generations. And in that opportunity, it requires us to shift not only our mindset, but our beliefs and our behaviors. Organizations who feel like any generation follows specific stereotypes are pigeonholing themselves. And they're pigeonholing their opportunities and what's possible for their business. And I would also say, as a Gen Xer, I can appreciate a lot of different perspectives. And as an individual, those perspectives have come woven into the fabric of my beliefs and commitment to work. So in families, it's different, right? I work with an organization, and this gentleman came out of college and has worked his way up in the organization. So he was 20 something. He's now 40 something. And in that organization, they still call him a kid. And we laugh about it because he's young and he's, fit and athletic and all this kind of stuff. But he's really earned his stripes. So we don't necessarily want to hold on to stereotypes in different generations because they're actually not specifically true. Is that fair? So I want to encourage you to open your mind and to glean what is positive and what can help your culture from each organization.
Yeah, and really out of this map in generations, I challenge you all when you leave this room to think not so much about the generational differences, but maybe leveraging some of the generational strengths. And it will help your high performing teams and your workforce just excel a little bit more. When we think about the younger generations as well, like what's really important to them, autonomy, flexibility, they want a sense of belonging. They want to be at an organization where they feel purposeful about their days. When I think about some of my older generations, right, they want stability. They want to understand what's going on. They want you to earn sweat in the game. They say, you got to earn this, right? So like understanding some of those differences, especially in communication, is going to elevate you and your teams, I promise. So
And I think it will can also help you to hone in and attract different clients, different customers. Because, depending on what your business is, all of these people are your customers. And so if you understand people internally, you'll understand people externally as well.
yeah, love it. We can go to the next one. Thanks, Sonny. Ooh, this feels good.
The foundation of trust. I am such a big believer in building trust. I have an opportunity to work with a variety of individuals and teams. And in all honesty, most teams have problems. Would you agree? What are some of your problems that you're experiencing on teams? Overworked.
Yeah.
What else?
Lack of communication.
Lack of communication. What else? Laura, what do you see? You have a pretty wide viewpoint too.
I think lack of structure is probably one of the biggest roots I see.
I want you to tee this piece
Yeah,
up. 'Cause
I'm like
the
chomping
next,
at the
the
bit.
next slide, sorry, the next slide is really where I want to dive into it.
So with trust, right, one of the most cost effective, I promise, one of the most fun and best things you can do to build trust is engage recognition. It's easy, right? Get your workforce, believe in your people. Those small interactions that you have every day that make people feel seen. There's like, okay, I'm here for the right reason. They see my work ethic. They see what I'm doing. I'm showing up. I'm doing the stuff. I can't tell you how important that piece is. And when you put recognition into your strategy, and when you do it the right way and get buy-in across your ecosystem, what happens is your communication on top of that sustains it. So communication, recognition, understanding how people want to be recognized, which is so important, crucial, because not everyone wants to be recognized the same way. I mean, I love throwing out gold stars. Not everyone wants to see them, and that's okay. But really the recognition piece is it creates pride within your organization. It's incorporating your core values. And that's a piece of the strategy I'll share is whenever you do the recognition, tie it into whatever your mission statements are, your core values, because that's a process and that's the buy-in with the organization. It's so important.
And I would say Leah and I come at this from a little bit of different perspectives because of the work that we do, not because we would disagree with each other.
Yeah.
I think the biggest foundation of trust as a leader is you're influencing people's beliefs and behaviors at work. And if you're saying one thing and doing something else, what does that do to trust? It erodes it, right? And even though you may believe, if you're not aligned, you may believe that your employees think one thing about you, they know the truth. I learned early on working in organizations is that there are actually no secrets. That's kind of scary. Because people would tell me their secrets and then someone else would tell me the secret. And I'm like, oh, there are no secrets in organizations. So leadership is the act of becoming. It's not your title. It's not your authority level. And it's not your ownership in the business. It is how you show up and how you guide and support people to get the job done. And they are watching every aspect of what you do. A lot of the work around building trust and culture that I do working with leaders is, I would say, an inside job. So reconciling the natural discrepancies that we have as people and stretching and growing to learn how to show up in ways that are consistent with your values, your priorities, your expectations, and knowing how to hold healthy boundaries and self-regulate.
Yeah. You touched on a couple of points too, like behavior, right? So when you are if you are recognizing people, you're setting that tone and that example as leaders that people will then start to do it. And then it kind of spreads and then they get the buy-in. It is so cool to see this. And I will also say too, compassion is one of your core values. Obsessed. I'm like, how do we switch that? How do we put that into our core values? So when you think about compassion, right? When you lead with compassion and kindness, that stuff spreads as well. So kudos to you. That's a great value.
And I'll just add one other little thing. I love how organic we're being too.
I know. Great.
Love it. So Leah had said that employees need to be seen, heard, and valued, and I believe understood.
So, yep,
Yes.
understood.
These are essential human needs that we all have. And when leaders show up in that way, and I'm going to add two more things. When they see, hear, value, and do their best, you don't have to agree, but do their best to understand. You know how to appropriately challenge your people, which I think is a key aspect to engagement. And also after you've challenged them and they've either risen to the occasion or they have some growth opportunity, reward and recognize them. Appreciate their effort. All of these aspects or behaviors really help to build the foundation of trust. And I want to say, if you don't have a culture of trust on your team and in your organization, you will experience challenges. And I think it adds complexity because in family businesses, because there's, the personal and the professional histories that get intertwined.
And it's free. Like, who doesn't want free ROI? This is great. This is great.
So I would say next slide. Let's see.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I use a tool called the 5 behaviors of high performing teams. And I actually was using this tool long before I became a certified facilitator. How many of you have experienced or know about the Patrick Lencioni's 5 behaviors? Yes. Tell us about it. What do you know? The quiz has begun.
It's a book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's, I've had my entire management team read it because it is an easy read. It reads as a fable and a story. And so it's easy to get through, and then the principles are easy to understand.
Great. I love easy. And I totally agree. These principles, they build off from one another. And in the book, The Fable, it gives you ideas about how to show up to build trust and how to show up if you don't want to build trust. High performing teams trust and respect each other. They can be honest, open, transparent, admit mistakes, share responsibility, and they tell the truth in a way that is smart. Not just the sort of regurgitated truth that you might think when you're in 8th grade. It's not that kind of truth. The second is, can you in your organization have healthy conflict? This is one of the pieces I work with leaders on all the time. They're like, I know that this is not feeling right, and how do I say it?
Yes.
So here, one of the leaders I'm working with, she is high tech, super smart, really driven, and lands on the aggressive side of the house. Any of us in that department or work with people in that department?
Yes.
What happens? Is it healthy conflict? No. You get feedback like you are condescending, you are intimidating, you are blaming and shaming, and we don't want to work with you. So how you communicate, we talked a little bit about this, and manage conflict matters. And the best teams actually address conflict early and often. And they know how to do it. They don't take it personally. The next piece is commitment. On your team, can you gain commitment? Now, this doesn't mean that you are a democracy and that everyone has to agree. It means, can you, as a team, come together to consensus to decide how you're moving forward? So I'm the president of the Maine Women's Network. We're going through a rebrand. And guess what? My team chose the colors that were my second favorite. And they knew it. What colors are we going with? The colors that I like, or the colors that most of the team chose? Most of the team. Yeah, absolutely. Why?
Keep everybody happy.
It's more, yes, and it's more than that.
So they've been heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why else? So there are 5 people on the team, 3 people chose the colors. My second choice. The person in marketing and myself chose the first colors. Why would we, and she's the vice president, why would we go with the people who are not 1 and 2?
Their input matters.
Yes, their input matters. And they have a perspective that's a little bit broader than ours. We'll reach more people by going with theirs, not with what I think. So it's a way to gain a commitment, and then accountability is being certain that you're following up, not only with yourself, right? I said that this is an inside job. How are you showing up? How are you becoming the leader every day that you want? How are you building culture every day that you want? And how do you hold yourself and other people accountable? It's hard, isn't it?
Introspection view.
And when you do this, you achieve better results time and time again. So this is a proven method that helps people work on their behaviors in terms of how they show up as in the team, and then as the team working on those behaviors to achieve better results, rather than focusing just on individual results. This is some of the things that comes up in teams as well. I'm working with a team and they're like, everyone's just rowing in their own direction for themselves. They're not gonna achieve the goals that they're hopeful for. Yes.
One of the things I always like to say is like, what you tolerate, you encourage. So
Yes.
Totally.
100%.
Absolutely. You teach people how to behave as a leader and how to treat you.
You're
It's
setting
so
the
true.
tone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And okay, so I've got a couple books I'm going to share with you. Feel free to take some notes. We gave you a wonderful, beautiful folder, thanks to Zani, and some pens and some printouts. One of my favorite books is from one of my Yale professors, Zoe Chance. She is a professor for marketing, and she wrote this book called Influence is Your Superpower. It's a really cool book. I do a lot of leadership training off this book. And the biggest takeaway that I'll say, when you want to influence teams, take the authority out. It's not going to work. Let me tell you right now. It tells you to lead with connection, lead with vision, lead with clarity and transparency and kindness. Like when I started working for Horch Roofing, that was one of my biggest non-negotiables, was just be nice, show up, think before you speak, pause, do all this stuff, because we're all trying our best every day, no matter what that looks like. So write that book down if you can. I promise you, it's a great book. Audible book is excellent. But going through it and then having your teams even read it, the influential piece will sit with you for a long time. But again, my biggest message, take the authority out. So,
and when you do that, you tap into intrinsic motivation. Yeah. So the inside job, the pride, the connection, the sense of challenge, the sense of accomplishment. I love cleaning the house. I've always had a business. One of my businesses in high school that I launched was a house cleaning business, and I loved it because it was immediate results. Go in the kitchen. I don't want anyone in the kitchen. Right. Anyway, next slide. Thank you.
yes, so good. Oof. All right.
Who's taking this one on?
Me. I'll
Okay.
always do this one. I have you, but I would love to kick it off. So Tisha and I use some different tools. I, again, geek on the streets, anything behavioral science, cognitive science, you want to talk about effect heuristics, all that good jazz, I'm your girl. I'm the chapter. We utilize a tool called Predictive Index. Predictive Index is a behavioral assessment tool I have used for over 10 years. What is excellent about this tool is that you email your employees. It takes them less than 10 minutes. It asks them 2 questions. This is how I want to be perceived at work in this job. This is how I think I am. And this is how others perceive me. Based on those answers, comes up with this magic. You get this amazing report. You get 1 of 17 profiles. And guess what? It's dead on. It's crazy. It's awesome. And I love, and it's as honest as your people are though, right? So as honest as they are, that's the results that they're going to get. PI is, I use this in multiple metrics within the organization. I use it in my hiring strategy. I use it in my coaching strategies because we are all different. You know, I have a maverick over here. I have a collaborator over here. I have a promoter over there. And all these different profiles are going to engage in different ways. So the guardians, right? They want to have all the details. They're the magic behind the scenes. They are getting stuff done. They are they are very protective of their work, very proud of their work. And then I have my collaborators who are just like, sit in a room with me. Let's just make some magic happen. And then I have my storm. I love this one over here. She is fire. And she is just like, let's go, get in the back or stay out of the truck, you know? And so I'm like, just jump in. Let's go, Zani. And all of them are great. There is no bad PI profile. But what is really neat is that you can create relationship guides. Amazing. So if I'm like, Zani, how can we work better together? It's going to kick me a report that says, hey, you want to talk it out? She doesn't. You want variety? She wants flexibility. So like understanding just people, it kind of takes that notion of walls. It kind of lowers them a bit. And what's really cool, and if you start to do this the right way, and people are so proud, right? They're like, yeah, I'm a maverick. Yeah, I'm an altruist. This is great. And then they start coming to you and they say, hey, I'm not jiving. Things aren't working with Zoe across the street. Can I have a relationship guide on them? Man, when that happened for the first time, you know, I got myself a nice latte that day. I'm doing something right. So I would just say, like, I even use it in other metrics of the full employee life cycle sometimes to compare their PI with their job description. Because when you have that gut instinct as an owner and you're like, I don't know if I have the right people, the right seats, the behavioral science and the KPIs and the factors that sits behind that, powerful. But really, it's the best tool for coaching, and I can't shine more limelight on that. Could you hear my passion?
I love it. What is your PI?
I am now one of two in the company, just found out the other day, but I'm an altruist. Okay. So I'm a good mix. I love my sales. I'm a super extrovert. I love detail though. Like I like flexibility, but I want stability and I want some policies. People got to stay in the guardrails, okay? I like to collaborate. So like I have a teammate, Haley, she works with me every day, keeps me in line as well. And her and I will just hold up shop. We'll collaborate together and it's the best. So knowing my team and what their PIs are makes me a better leader because I can show up for them in a better way every day. If you don't utilize PI and you are curious, please see me after because I can't talk more highly about this tool.
I've heard
And you would agree too, right?
So I'm a captain.
Okay.
If that tells you anything.
I love it.
Like to be the boss? No. It's probably why I've been an entrepreneur basically my whole life. I love PI. I'm just really learning about it essentially, but I think it's a holistic tool that can be incredibly helpful in organizations. The tool that I use is DISC. How many of you are familiar with DISC? Super simple, I think. And you know, one of the primary discussions that I have with DISC is, you know, your D is your dominance. So I'm also a 98% D. What is one word you would call me for those of you who know DISC? Like, I mean, we don't know each other, but Captain. Yeah. Okay. What's another word? Driver. Yeah. What's another word that may not be?
What's driver?
Okay. How many of you know the phrase big, you know, it's ex big sister? Starts with a B. Bossy big sister. Oh. I'm just having a little fun with this. I would never call someone that, right? But I can be the bossy big sister. Does that work well when you're a consultant? Why not? Why not? I was an underwriter. I was, you know, in this building, I was the one making decisions and holding the sales reps at bay, right? So that came in really handy. What is the counter to being the bossy big sister? I hope I'm not offending anyone. I'm just trying to make fun of myself. But maybe the compliant, you know. So I want to use some terms: aggressive, passive. What is a capacity more in the middle that is appropriate in businesses today?
Collaborative.
Collaborative, yeah. What's another? How about assertive? Do we want people who are assertive rather than passive or aggressive? How many of you learned how to be aggressive in your families? I'm the older sister, put my younger sister in line. That's how we sort of manage the family order. She still resents me today.
I love that you're talking about assertive. Share people what assertive really means, because I feel like there's some misunderstanding of assertive.
I want to ask a question. What does assertive mean to you? When you think about someone who is aggressive or someone who is passive, let's put it in the context of skin in the game. How do you want someone to show up at a meeting?
Prepared.
Prepared.
Confident.
Confident. Excellent. What else?
Engaging.
Engaging. Yes. What else?
Human.
Yes. What else?
Correct.
Yes. And how direct? How direct do you want someone to show up? If you're being collaborative.
Leading.
Yeah, I mean, I would say all of these, like that place in the middle between being aggressive, of telling people what to do, being passive, not engaging at all, but showing up well prepared, willing to work, sharing your thoughts and your ideas and communicating effectively. It's that place in the middle where people trust you, where they're willing to bring things up that is, maybe they're not in alignment, maybe there's some conflict, they're willing to bring that up and they feel safe. They feel heard, you feel safe, you feel heard, and you're holding each other accountable. We're going to get into a little bit of that soon.
Yeah.
I think.
We are.
But, all right. So it's the place in the middle of showing up appropriately with the right amount of skin in the game so that you can be productive in your environment, whatever that might be. Is that fair? Okay.
Love it.
Oh,
How are we doing?
doing great.
Okay.
You're doing so good on time. It's awesome.
I never wear watches anymore. In fact, my watch is in a little jewelry box.
My competitive nature, if I don't close all my rings, it does sit with me
Okay.
every day. I'm like that.
Okay.
I need to leave this one too. This is a fun.
Oh,
This
yes,
is-
yes,
this is
yes.
really good.
Okay. Thank you. One of the tools that I use to help build engagement and collaboration around communication is a collaborative communication model. If a leader is having trouble on their team or in their workplace, it's typically because of their way of expressing and communicating. Is that a fair statement? Most problems really stem from interpersonal relationships in organizations. And once you help people to be better peoplers and refine their interpersonal skills, they can solve the problems. This starts, in my opinion, as an inside job. How many of you are familiar? I hate this term, so I don't really typically use it, but I want to ask the question, how many of you are familiar with the concept of nonviolent communication? Okay, yeah, this is that. But how many of you like the word nonviolent communication? Like, I don't like it at all. It's a method to work, to make connections, build empathy and trust, and to talk about the real things, the real challenges, and instead of bossing someone around or demanding, to come to agreements through requests. How many of you have agreements on your teams? They might be spoken, they might be unspoken. Agreements in terms of how you show up to meetings, your job. Good, great, it's healthy. Agreements are great guardrails, and they establish healthy and appropriate relational boundaries. So, I'll talk you through this in two ways. Our feelings, this is a little EQ, are brilliant indicators. And they're indicators about what we need. When you show up to a meeting and someone hasn't seen, heard, listened to you, appreciated your perspective, how do you feel? You like it?
Disrespected.
Okay.
Not heard.
Okay. So let's go to your gut and name the feeling.
Anger.
Yeah. Great.
Did
Did you see how we sort of went a little bit deeper? Disrespected is actually not a feeling. It's a faux feeling. And when you come to a conversation and say, I felt disrespected, what's going to happen? Linda, I felt disrespected. What's your natural tendency? You can be like, oh, I'm so sorry. It is.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. Some people are gonna be like, I didn't disrespect you. I'm just doing my job. That's your issue. But I was upset. I was a little angry. I mean, I soften it, but I was angry about this thing. People tend to lean in. So here's the method. Observations, what happened? I'm gonna do something foolish. What did I do?
Just threw that bottle so far. If that were a ring, you'd win a yard game.
Is that a full observation? Or is it an interpretation? Okay. What did I do?
Love it. Just makes a guinea pig.
What did I do?
Just tossed a bottle.
Tossed a bottle. Observation. Observations are facts. When we talk about facts, we can pull the personalization out of it and some of the negative emotions. Who was excited when I did that? Who was a little scared? Like I was even a little scared. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. So when you threw the bottle, I was a little scared. What do we need? What do we need in a meeting like this? Everyone to throw bottles? No one to throw bottles. What do we need in meetings?
Safety.
Thank you. We need safety. We need to know what to expect. So is there a request here that you might have of me regarding throwing the bottle? Catherine?
Please don't throw bottles.
Okay, really simple. I gotta pick this up now. This is not my natural state of behaving. When we can open up and have real conversations around feelings and needs, and when we know for ourselves, when our feelings are negative, it means our needs are not met or our values are not aligned. When they're positive, it means that we are aligned. So this tool helps us to get in touch emotionally with ourselves and with other people so that we can make requests and figure out what the behaviors are. Anyway, super fun. I taught it last month to the chief of police and fire at a local municipality. Fun. So, and their organization, super fun. And they bought into it, which I was like, oh gosh, I don't know how this is going to go. But they could understand because in their jobs, they're dealing with people and they have to be emotionally intelligent. Anyways, this is a superpower that I love to use.
I'm gonna give you guys a one-liner and you may want to write this down. Who in here leads people? Raise your, proud. Come on, let me see them high. Okay. When you get furious, get curious.
Yes.
Okay? Pause. Because we as human beings have this awesome thing where we just come up with assumptions. I mean, I've played whatever thing is going to happen in my head 3 times with a season finale, and I will sometimes believe it. And that's not necessarily the case, right? But those are my assumptions. So I have to really sometimes even work on my breathing. If I see something come through in an email, maybe there's a customer escalation. I don't know what happened in the field with my amazing employees. So I just got to sometimes breathe, but then get curious and say, walk me through what happened. And when you do that and you listen and you utilize skills for a term that I use often and bring every day, which is called tactical empathy. We'll talk about that soon. You're going to set yourself up for success. So when you get furious, get curious.
I really love that. And so combining, this is why Catherine had us both come today to talk with you, because we just look at it from different perspectives. And I think you can create a really nice, robust picture. But using this to to be in touch with yourself and to also be in touch with other people.
Yeah.
So that you build that empathy in a way that is strategic, informative, and can help you make the best decisions.
Love it. Next slide. That was great.
Can I
I
ask you,
loved your examples.
what questions do you have about that? By the way? All of it. Okay, call me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously, I'd love to talk to you about it.
Thank you. I love. I get to lead this one. Okay, another book. Quick story. So I put this book, I was taking a negotiations program and I put this book in my cart on Amazon for like a year. And it just kind of like sat there and I was like, oh, I really want to like read it. And so I pulled the trigger, I bought the book and it came in the mail. But I all of a sudden got the copy in my email as well. And I was like, I did not buy this book twice. This is when your marriage is aligned because my husband didn't know I bought this book and he randomly bought the book the same day. It was kind of weird. But this book is called Never Split the Difference by FBI retired negotiator Chris Voss. Has anyone read this book? Proud of them. Good book, right? Ooh, you want to talk about tactical empathy? Yeah, you do. So when we talk about conflict resolution, tactical empathy is one of the tools that I teach to my leadership team, and it's something I lead with every day. And so tactical empathy is showing up for people where you don't necessarily have the empathy for them, but you have the understanding. So when you utilize tactical empathy, what that looks like is mirroring and labeling. Has anyone heard of that? Anyone heard of these tools? Anyone ever use these tools? See Kate in the back. Kate's nodding her head, yes. I see Haley with a yes. So what labeling is you're labeling the emotion of that person. When you are mirroring someone, I am utilizing the last few words that they said to help de-escalate whatever crisis is happening. And I will tell you in my line of work, this looks different every day, but shows up every day somehow, some way. So maybe Tisha says to me, you never tell me when change is happening and I have to figure out on my own. And I say, Tisha, it sounds like when this change is happening, you're not getting what you need to do your job effectively. And I use that famous DJ FM voice, and you can feel the wall kind of just start to go down. And she's like, yeah, I do feel that way. It's a really cool tool. If anyone wants more information on it, please let me know. It's just like a quick synopsis of it, but it is effective and it does help. And it helps you become a better leader, especially because of the complexities of being people, family-owned businesses, different passions, different outcomes. These are excellent tools for leadership.
And I love this because what she did was heard me, even though that really wasn't my complaint. But that statement back was hearing. And honestly, like I wasn't even involved in that situation. I literally felt it.
Yeah.
What tools are you using? What frameworks are you using to help de-escalate conflict or manage through conflict in your workplaces? What are you doing?
And no, there's nothing wrong. We're just curious. And again, this is a room of people that just want to soak it in. Amber, what do you use?
Well, I have an example. To be honest, I was putting off a hard conversation for a little bit and caught myself doing that. And I ended up opening the conversation by saying, this feels really awkward for me. And it went really well.
Right. You're human? That's awesome. Good
So
for
I'm
you.
gonna probably do that.
Yeah.
And I love leaning into your emotions and then the curiosity and taking that brave step. So one of the clients I'm working with is State Farm Insurance. Have you heard they're going through one or two things right now? My husband sent me the news flash yesterday. And their leaders are working to be really intentional about staying curious and sharing stories that are productive and forward thinking. So there's a lot of conflict, right? Change elicits a lot of conflict that's happening within this organization, but obviously all of our organizations. So having some type of framework, there are lots of them out there, to help you through a process that becomes embedded in your culture, that is normalized and utilized, will help you with those awkward moments. Because you know what? It really is difficult to address something. And once you do, you start to realize that you're seeing the situation from your perspective. There are other perspectives. Yes.
Something that our leadership does at Horch, is when obviously, make mistakes, things happen. This comes from not just one person in our leadership, but from the entire team and our GMs and stuff, is when I mess up on something, the conversation is never messed up on something, Haley, like you're bad. It's always, how's your day? How are you? So I was going through this and I noticed this. This is actually how it's supposed to be done, and this is how you did it. I don't leave that conversation with, okay, I suck at my job.
That, right.
Everything is turned into a learning experience and being taught right there on the spot, and not in a negative way. And I feel that our employees, and I've watched them, have really excelled after that. They're not leaving these conversations as oh, I'm in trouble again. It's okay. This is how I need to go forward.
Yeah, I love that. So that is a human-centered transformational culture in action. And these are not buzzwords, write these couple words down and do some research, because this means something, and there's methodologies and lots of great research about it. We're going to simplify it a little in a couple of minutes, I think. But yes, giving people the benefit of the doubt, treating them like they're reasonable people, and we all make mistakes. Giving them the opportunity to make the mistake and to learn and grow, rather than to be blamed, shamed, intimidated, manipulated, triangulated. These are some of the things that I point out in organizations, and we refine. But you don't want that. It doesn't lead to a healthy culture. Talking about the thing in a way that we all make mistakes. We're going to identify what happened and ways to improve, learn, grow, resolve the issue. It's very forward thinking.
And it leads into our next psychological safety.
Yay. How many of you have heard about psychological safety? Ooh, what does it mean?
Love this. Who wants to be brave?
I feel like it's when you're at work and you feel safe, your boss or someone else walks in the room and you don't tense up. You feel safe around there. It's a safe environment to be in, I feel like.
Because the norms are established and adhered to around beliefs and behaviors and how you show up. My experience, I would say that I learned about psychological safety a handful of years ago and the 4 aspects to it. And I'm always looking at what motivates employees to be engaged, perform, and be healthy and well within the organizations, feel satisfied showing up. And I actually don't think psychological safety goes far enough. Because if you feel really, really super safe and comfortable and familiar, you go too far. I feel like I'm going to be damned for saying that by the psychological safety people. Because this is a job. We all have jobs? J-O-B, yeah. And when we show up at our jobs, do we have things to do? Do we need to show up in a certain way so that the things get done and we work with people in a cohesive way? So I actually think strong cultures understand how to manage not only psychological safety, but accountability in the 4 aspects. And when you do that, you appropriately challenge your people. You teach them how to show up. And that is incredibly intrinsically motivating. So you elicit a sense of pride and accomplishment. It's why we do the things that we do. And I'm going to tell you guys this, and there's a bit of truth to it, but not a reality. I would do this for free. I would do my job for free.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Because I actually realize the value that I bring is exponential to what I charge, truthfully. But I live and breathe this stuff because it works.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, once you get over that really hard stuff and you start incorporating any of these principles, your job gets easier, your people get happier, and your organization thrives.
Yeah, and I would say safety and accountability, they co-work together. And so psychological safety shows up every day. Every single day. It shows up in when there's a mistake, do they feel comfortable elevating that mistake, or are they gonna hide it from you? They're hiding it from you because of the fear from that. That's not a good sign, and that's a flag, and that's okay, because then you can pay attention to it. But like understanding your employees in that capacity. And I do want to give a really nice shout out. We have someone in the audience, her name is Laura, and she is an EOS entrepreneur operating system coach, I would say. I think that's fair. And I've worked with Laura before, and it's incredible, even in a room of strangers, how quickly she builds that psychological safety, talking about really hard things in the room. So like, if an independent consultant meeting people can do it, you as business owners can work on this every day and become great at this, because you could have a great relationship. I could have a great relationship with Zani, which I feel like I do, throwing that out there. But I could say one wrong thing to her one wrong day, and that will sit with her. And that psychological safety and that sense of trust will diminish a bit. And then I have to rebuild that. So when I say it's so important for everybody in this room to show up every day in really hard situations, you've got to be your best. You've got to be on your game, and you got to take care of yourself to do that. So we gotta go to the next slide. But
Okay, yes. Next slide. So psychological safety is a real thing. It's not just like a fluffy feeling where, you hug all your coworkers and,
not about being nice.
fake nice.
Yeah, not
Not
about
at all.
being nice.
Psychological safety has 4 principles. Is it safe to learn? And are you accountable to learn? I want both.
Yeah.
I don't know, type A, firstborn. If any of you know, but like, I want it all. Is it safe to challenge the status quo, an idea, a way of doing things in your organization? And are you challenging the things that don't make sense and don't work? Because if you're not showing up in a way that is engaging. And as a leader, are you encouraging this? I always say in the boards that I'm on, what am I missing? How can we do this better? Where should we take this? And then I do something else, believe it or not. Shut up. That's me. Collaborator safety. On people in the room, on your team. So you have people who don't talk a lot. Okay. Are you challenging them and asking them questions to engage, to show up, to put a little bit more skin in the game? One of the leaders I'm working with at State Farm, she is a subject matter expert, and she's taking on all of the projects. She's realizing she's doing that. So her accountability is to step back and give other people an opportunity to challenge themselves and to learn. And then the next piece is inclusion safety. And this goes back to, I would say, the 5 generations in the workforce. In what ways are you not only making it safe for everyone to show up with their generational perspective, ideas, and experience, but are you also challenging people to learn and grow and contribute? And we're all familiar with that, like 5 blindfolded person in the elephant. What happens? Each person takes a different part of the elephant, and someone feels the trunk of a tree, someone feels a fan, someone feels a snake. But it's all together that you get the full picture. And so this is what including the principles of psychological safety and accountability can offer you. The ability to show up in a way that is engaged, that is contributing, that is learning, that is challenging, and is including a variety of perspectives. That's the people advantage, in my opinion.
Love it. Well said. When she showed me those 4 components, I realized I've been doing this and didn't even realize those 4 quadrants. It was really cool to see that. Thank you for bringing that slide. That's really neat. I'm going to lead with this one, accountability. This is something that's a non-negotiable for me. And in my craft of leadership of, 22 years, working with people, understanding people, we're going to talk about performance improvement plans. The PIP. Who's heard of that? Raise your hand. Okay, who utilizes performance improvement plans? Come on, show me. Okay. You know that there's a good way to do it? And accountability is one of the most trust-based actions we can do for our employees. They deserve it. They deserve us to be transparent in clarity and deliver it with kindness and coaching. When I look at a PIP and when I do a PIP, it's there because I believe in them. It's there because I want to keep them. It's there because they need to understand if something's not working. It's my job to be transparent and kind and coach them and give them resources and a roadmap of what success looks like for that individual, non-negotiable. When you have employees that are on a performance improvement plan, it's really, really important that you keep it engaged with their direct leader and manager, and so that they're doing constant check-ins. Because when you put them on a performance improvement plan and you say, great, see you in 90 days, that feels so bad. Like that is just feels really bad. And we're only human, right? Like that's even happened to me before where I've done one that's a 60-day and didn't see it all the way through and could have been better, right? That introspective view going back for myself. So I would just say, as you are coaching people, understand accountability is so crucial and it's a part of that trust building component. It's a part of your culture. It's what people want and it's what they need. So if you're not being transparent and you're really pushing off difficult conversations, I would challenge you when you leave this room, think about what that conversation is and address it. Because they need you as a coach and as a leader. And so you're not just a business owner, you're all those things. But yeah, it's a high form of regard for people. So,
And I would say that, oh, go ahead.
I'm not sure how to ask the question, but how do you do a PIP for someone who's meeting their career goals, but is lacking on culture goals?
oh, I love this. Remember I talked about core values? I bring core values into everything. Coaching, right? So that's a great way that you can embed them in. Like, hey, you're reaching these goals, but these are our core principles of our organization. And, walking through that process with them. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to put them on a PIP. I don't want to tell you that's what you need to do because I don't know the situation. I don't want to give you guidance, but I would say a solution-based action is to figure out to incorporate your core values, your mission statement, value statement, all that stuff. It's a great way to do it.
And I would tee off from that as well. I would say coaching and some of the best ways to help encourage someone to improve their behavior are those like simple, daily, weekly, 5-minute, 10-minute touch points. And this comes right from data from Gallup. And I'll share with you a story. My husband thinks sometimes I'm a little like out there. We were traveling 5 or 6 years ago. We were at Two Medicine Lake in Glacier National Park in Montana. Have any of you guys been there? Okay. And so I love to do like the park, so geek out. I love to do the park ranger, and this kid, Andrew, college student, probably 19, that was his summer job. And he had a hat on backwards, really, really sweet guy. And he was taking us through this amazing, amazing area. And I was so enthralled by it. And there was a family there with a 12-year-old little boy who wanted Andrew's attention. And so do you know what he kept doing? Flipping Andrew's hat off. And this is where I'm like, parents are doing nothing. And I couldn't take it anymore. Have any of you done this? So I look at my husband and I'm like, I'm doing something about this. And he said, don't. So I go up to the little boy. I was like, hi. You're a nice boy, aren't you? I can tell you were a really nice boy and that you like Andrew. And he was like, I said, Andrew doesn't like it when you're doing that. You're trying to do a job. And I want you to be the nice boy that you are.
I'm gonna be a nice boy.
I couldn't believe his parents said nothing. What did this kid do? He goes to Andrew. Buddy with Andrew. Because he was looking for model leadership.
Yeah.
And he didn't know how to get Andrew's attention so that he could engage with him. I mean, it could have gone the other way. My husband is funny. He's a sales rep, and he has a little bit of a different approach. There was a kid, this is before I met him, crying at the grocery store, mom in the cart, mom's at the checkout, and he was in front of the kid. So he turned to the kid and he was like, cry more. And the kid stopped. But what kind of effect did that have? What do you think?
Fear, shock.
What built culture? What taught a lesson that is last? And he'll be upset with me. I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy. He's a great guy. He's learned to not do that. But what builds culture? It's like, be the leader, be the change you want to see, and encourage that in those micro moments. Far more impactful in my experience than the formal review. I mean, we need to have formal reviews. We need to document things, but it's those coaching opportunities and how you show up every day. Because you have a choice. Pull it together, or I see you.
Yeah.
And I know that you know, and I'm going to help you along. So as a leader, and we're all leaders, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? Why does that matter? This is how culture is built every day.
And culture is your greatest legacy. As a family-owned business, that's your legacy. So how these people are feeling every day, how they're showing up, how they're giving their grit, their fortitude, all of that stuff, how they're sharing the mistakes, right? Fail smarter, giving that culture. That's your culture. The stories they tell, that's your culture.
What questions do you have?
I had a rep in our office and there's a lot of employees around, and he said, you guys have really great people here. And that was like a good opportunity for me to say, they are wonderful people. And I'm just wondering, like, what's a good way for me to build them up while this person's listening and validating what they said? So they're like, yes, we are great people and other people are noticing it,
I think that attitudinal quality should be embedded in every single organization, because we are all great people and we are all flawed and we all have the potential to learn and grow. And if you see people's greatness, you will help them to achieve things beyond what they imagined for themselves. And that energy is it's regenerative and it's infectious. So I think one of the core skills that we learn as a coach is to be able to see people, to see their good even when they can't, to see their potential even in their flaws, and to focus on that and encourage that, while also encouraging them to do better, to stretch, to learn, to grow. But shift your attitude around, or this is for everyone, around how you see people in your organization. I was on vacation with my mother-in-law, and one of her friends was a business owner. They sold the business. And this guy said the worst things about his employees. I had a knot in my stomach. I don't like this guy to this day because of that experience. And I don't think he's a bad person. But he was talking about the disrespect and the lack of work ethic and, just saying the worst things about his employees and how his business was suffering. If someone thinks of you as being, I don't know, a lazy jerk, and that's your boss, how much are you going to give that? No.
Great question.
He didn't see that he was the problem in his organization. As leaders, we take radical accountability for the care of our people and the results that our organization achieves or doesn't achieve. And that to me is the art of becoming a leader and of building positive, healthy cultures. So does that answer your question? So everyone has talent.
Well, and I want to know like how to validate what other people are saying about the employees and letting them know that I know that also.
So how do you communicate that in your organization? Are you incorporating these types of rewards and recognitions in team huddles? Do you have a newsletter? Do you tell people?
Yeah, we are doing it.
Awesome. Do you ask them how they want to be recognized? So I would say, look at the formal and informal processes. I joined a board recently and the director is a friend of mine and she was like, how do you want to be recognized? It's like, oh my gosh, no one's actually ever asked me that question. I don't know. What do you normally do? Okay, that works. I'm flexible around that stuff. But some people actually want to be in the limelight and others don't. So there's a blend of having, I would say, a formal program, but then also really understanding who you're working with.
We had another question too, Rita.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, we have morning meetings Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Huddles.
And
Yay.
kind of take like maybe like 5 minutes or so for anyone that, you know, has heard anything from any customers or vendors or anything about any specific people or a team. We kind of give them a little shout out in the morning, be like, hey, talk to so-and-so. He said, you know, you guys really, you know, helped him out during this time. Like, you know, thanks, Joe and Brad for really helping him out and yeah.
I commend you for doing huddles. They're so important. It's team unity, right? And it's communication, it's clarity, transparency. It's great.
And I would also add like why it matters. Give people the why. Simon Sinek.
Yes.
I actually want to marry him.
We have to wrap up. What other questions do we have? And you can see us after too, if you want us one-on-one. So I'd love to talk about PI and all kinds of things.
Cool. Thank you so much for your level of engagement.
All right, as many of you know.
See you at the golf
Get a
scramble.
survey from us. We have some door prizes. I have pens. If you haven't put your business card, I only have 2. You can take it in a pack, fold it in half. We have a $50 gift certificate to
Auto Pizza.
Auto Pizza.
Not Auto.
There we go. It's a nice swag bag from Horch. So if you don't have a business card, you can fold your name tag.
Let's have your
in half.
business card.
If you want.
And then
Yeah.
You're already in there.
You're one of the two already.
I was hoping no one else
All
put
right,
it in
it's on the
there.
road. There we go.
Okay, I'll jump in.
Here's a